Hey guys, what's going on? It's David here from Scizorxphlosion, coming at you guys with another Lost Thunder deck profile, and this time it is Lost March. Lost March is a deck that's getting a lot of hype behind it. We've got these pretty jump lifts there, and it's probably one of my favorite decks in Lost March. It could be top tier. I'm not 100% sure yet. I know it can beat some of the top tier decks. But that's something we're all going to have to keep an eye on in the upcoming format. I'll be bringing you guys some more tournament report videos once we start having some Lost Thunder tournaments coming up. But anyway, guys, y'all be sure and like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Scizorxphlosion and support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Scizorxphlosion. And without further ado, guys, let's get on to the deck profile. We've got, starting off, 4 copies of Hoppip. We play the 40 HP Hoppip because if you play the 30 HP, you can easily be knocked out by Jet Punch. And you do have resistance, yes. Excuse me, guys. You do have resistance. Even the 30 HP has resistance to your Buzzwole. But if they get Deancey down and then either Deancey or Beast Energy, which Deancey shouldn't be that hard to get with them running Brooklet Hill. They can knock out this Hoppip, plus knock up a 30 HP Hoppip on the bench. So we want to just try to increase our odds of surviving by playing the 40 HP. The 30 HP has a better attack. It lets you search your deck for a Hoppip and put it onto the bench. But this one just has more survivability, and in a world where Buzzwole is not going away, that is kind of what we are looking for. We also play 4 copies of Skiploom. Skiploom is a really powerful Pokemon, and it essentially makes your Jumpluff a Stage 1. It has this ability, Floor Pat to the Sky. It says once during your turn, before your attack, you may search your deck for a Jumpluff, put this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into the Lost Zone, and then put that Jumpluff in its place. So basically, you evolve Skiploom, and you don't have to immediately use its effect. You can wait. You can, like, say you have, like, 3 Jumpluffs in your hand, you have a Cynthia. You can shuffle those back into the deck, then use Floral Path to the Sky to get that Jumpluff back out of the deck. But it's really cool, because it's basically you just evolve, and then you get Jumpluff out. Pretty awesome. Then you get 2 Pokemon to the Lost Zone, and this deck relies on how many Pokemon in the Lost Zone. Kind of in a similar vein to Night March. You just want Pokemon in the Lost Zone instead of the discard pile. So, and it's not really that hard to do in this deck. I haven't had very many problems. If you guys watched our battle video the other day, this is the exact same deck that we had in that battle video. I priced 3 Hoppips, and I was really scared that I was going to lose. But I ended up winning because I just was able to get more Pokemon to the Lost Zone, and eventually I was still hitting like 190 damage with a Choice Band on a Natu. So, I mean, that's even with 3 Hoppips price. This deck can still do its tricks with Hoppip, without Hoppip. But, I mean, Skiploom and Hoppip are the best ways to get those Pokemon to the Lost Zone. And now we get to one of the main attackers of the deck, guys. 4 copies of Jumpluff. Jumpluff is an amazing Pokemon. It's got 70 HP, but hey, it's a non-GX Tiger that can deal some massive damage. With the attack Lost March for 1 Grass Energy, does 20 damage, times the amount of Pokemon, except for Prism Star Pokemon, that are in the Lost Zone. And I said this during the battle video that I think they both count, like, the Lost Zone is 1 zone, and I think they both count. I was wrong about that. I looked up the ruling on that, guys, and each player has a separate Lost Zone. Even though it says just the Lost Zone, it's still your Lost Zone, and then your opponent's Lost Zone. So, Lost March versus Lost March, I keep wanting to call it Night March. Lost March versus Lost March wouldn't be whoever gets more Pokemon in the Lost Zone and whoever attacks first is going to win. That would be nuts. But yeah, each player has a separate Lost Zone. So, yeah. Anyway. But yeah, Lost March is a really good attack, and Jumpluff has some really good things going for it. It doesn't have a fire weakness like most grass types have. It does have a lightning weakness. They're taken from its flying type. And then it's also got a fighting resistance, which is nice, just like the Hoppip and the Skiploom. The 70 HP is bad, but it also has this awesome free retreat. Everybody loves free retreat, and that just makes Jumpluff that much more useful. It's such a beautiful art, too. I love that. If you guys look at all the Lost Zone, or a Lost March Pokemon, any Pokemon that matches with the Lost March archetype, they always have something really cool, like these purple shades and everything like that. But anyway, sorry about that. Let's get on to the next card, guys. 4 copies of Natu. I've seen a lot of lists play 3 copies, and when I was testing 3 copies, I felt like I always wanted the third or the fourth one. And another thing is, it gives you more targets for Lost Splendor. You have more cards you can put into the Lost Zone with Lost Splendor. If you early game get like a Natu you don't need, or you have a Natu in a bad matchup, say against something that's resistant to Psychic, you can Lost Zone it and just get some extra damage on board and just go in with your jump lifts. Later on in the game, you will have to go into your Natus eventually. But anyway, Natu, or Natu, however you want to say it, has 40 HP. Well, we expected that from a non-GX Pokemon that can deal massive damage. 1 retreat cost, weakness to Psychic, and Lost March, the exact same attack that Jumpluff has, except for a cost of a double colorless energy. So we do play a large amount of those in this deck as well. So 4 copies of Natu. 4 copies of... Woo! Almost dropped the stand there, guys. Sorry about that. Let me readjust here. 4 copies of Trumbeak. Trumbeak is really good in this deck. You don't play the Piggy Peck or the Toucannon. You just play the Trumbeak. Just because of this ability, Mountain Pass. HP and... retreat are irrelevant. The only reason we play this card in this deck is for the ability Mountain Pass. Once during your turn, before your attack, if this Pokemon is in your hand, you may reveal it. If you do, look at the top card of your opponent's deck. Put this Pokemon into the Lost Zone, and if that card was a supporter, you may put it into the Lost Zone. If your opponent has no other cards in their deck, you can't use this ability. Blah, blah, blah. So basically, you look at the top card of your opponent's deck. If it's a supporter, you put it back face down, or if it's a supporter, you put it into the Lost Zone. If not, you put it back face down on top of their deck, and then Trumbeak goes to the Lost Zone. So it just gives you an extra 20 damage, plus you could get rid of one of your opponent's potential supporters they could use next turn. So really, really good card. Sending itself to the Lost Zone on its own is a good effect, but also being able to disrupt your opponent's supporters is good as well. We got 1 copy of Oranguru just for that instructability to get that draw support. You can attack with Psychic, but really you're going for Lost March in this deck. And you don't want to waste your energies on Oranguru. You'd rather use them on your Jump Lefts or your Natus, since they are single attachments, and Oranguru would have to take more than that. So, Instruct lets you once during your turn, you may draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. 1 copy of Oranguru. And to end off the Pokemon, guys, we have 2 copies of Tapu Lele GX, just for that Wonder Tag ability, to be able to get our supporters out when we need them. Elm's Lecture is pretty detrimental to this deck's function. You do want to get it first turn, ideally, and then second turn, ideally, which would be really cool. But Lele is really good in this deck, and with it being a non-GX deck, you kind of don't want to play Lele, but I feel like you need to, because you have to get those supporters out. You want to get 3 Hop-Ups on the bench, and then next turn you want to try to Elm's Lecture again for 3 Skiplooms. That's like the dream. That's what you want to do in this deck. You know, that's your ideal turn 1, turn 2. But that's all for the Pokemon, guys. We're going to get on to the supporters here. We've got 4 copies of Cynthia. Your basic draw supporter for any deck, and it's just lets you shuffle your hand to the deck and draw 6 cards. And it's really good, too, if you get some Jump Lifts in your hand early game. You can shuffle those right back in and not have to worry about them. So, 4 copies of Cynthia there. We've got 4 copies of Professor Elm's Lecture. This is the new card that came out in Lost Thunder, and it's basically a Bridget replacement. Got some grime right there. Nasty. Alright. It's basically a Bridget replacement. It says you get to search your deck for up to 3 Pokemon with 60 HP or less, and reveal them, put them into your hand. The reason why this is so, it's good, it's bad compared to Bridget, and it's good compared to Bridget in some ways, especially for this deck, because it doesn't say basic Pokemon. You can search your deck for any 3 Pokemon that have 60 or less HP, and your Skiplooms have 60 HP, which is just great synergy. You can get, first turn you want to go Elm's Lecture, get 3 Hop-Ups. Second turn, as long as they don't get knocked out, you want to Elm's Lecture again for 3 Skiplooms, and then you're putting 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120 damage already on the board if you are able to evolve all of those Pokemon. Pretty awesome. So 4 copies of Professor Elm's Lecture. Also, you can search out your Natus with it as well. 3 copies of Guzma, just to target down those Pokemon you want to take down. And I also play another card in here to help with with your Oranguru in the active. You don't want your Oranguru in the active, and you really don't want to be discarding any energy in this deck to retreat. Your energies are very precious. You don't play very many, but we do have ways to get them out of the deck, and we really don't want to be wasting them by attaching them to Pokemon just to retreat. 2 copies of Lily. Lily is a really good first turn draw supporter if you are not able to get the Elms Lecture. You can draw till you have 6 cards. If it's your first turn, you can draw until you have 8. Just a really good draw supporter all around. And the last draw supporter I play in here is 2 copies of Tate and Liza. I hadn't been playing Tate and Liza a lot in a lot of my decks lately, but I feel like it's really, really important in this deck, just because the shuffle draw for 5, it gives you less of a chance of drawing a jump bluff in your hand when you shuffle draw, and also you can switch your active Pokemon with one of your benched. You can choose one or the other, but it's really good for getting Lele's or Orangurus out of the active, maybe even Natus if they happen to survive an attack. That way you don't have to discard their double colorless energy in order to retreat. So I feel like Tate and Liza is really good in this deck. Onto the items, guys. We got 4 copies of Ultra Ball, your standard search for any Pokemon deck. Discard 2 cards from your hand if you do search a deck for a Pokemon and add it to your hand. We've also got 4 copies of Lost Blender. This is another new card from Lost Thunder, and it's really great in this deck. I know a lot of lists play 3. I've even seen some play 2. But I felt like going for 4 is the best way to guarantee that you get them in your hand when you need them. It lets you put 2 cards from your hand to the Lost Zone, and if you do, you get to draw a card. The draw power is, it comes in handy sometimes. Like, I have done this in, like, top deck of DCE that I needed. I was like, whoa, that's awesome. But this deck is broken. But most of the time, it's just there to get those Pokemon into the Lost Zone. Say you draw like a Jump Bluff early game and, I don't know, an extra Lele. You could send those to the Lost Zone, draw your card, maybe get a little extra damage. That would be just any 2 Pokemon, so you get 40 extra damage. You get to draw a card as well, which is okay. But really, it's there for send those Pokemon to the Lost Zone that you need to get there for that extra damage boost. We also play 3 copies of Netball. This is another way around Elm's Lecture if we do whiff the first turn. We can just use Netball to get a couple Hoppips down. Well, it lets you search a deck for a basic Grass Pokemon or a basic Grass Energy and reveal it and put it into your hand. So it has two uses in this deck. We can use it to get our Hoppips down if we do whiff the Professor Elm's Lecture, or we can also use it in the mid to late game to get us Grass Energies out of the deck. So it's basically like having 7 Grass Energies in the deck if you use it to search those Grass Energies. I really like Netball. I think it's going to be a card that's sticking around for a while. It's a really great card. 2 copies of Choice Band. I feel like 2 is necessary. I would like to play a 3rd. I just cannot find the space for it right now. I mean, I'm still working on different builds for this deck, trying some different techs and everything like that, but so far, this is the build that I'm going with right now. If I were to take this deck to a tournament right now, this is how I would take it. 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher, just to get those Pokemon back. This is another thing I've been wanting to do. I've been thinking about doing 2 copies of Rescue Stretcher, and it may seem crazy, but hear me out. If you get those Pokemon in the Lost Zone early, sometimes you have to Ultra Ball away like Jump Bluffs or Skip Blooms or whatever you may need to discard in order to get what you're needing. If you draw a handful of Pokemon turn 1 and you got an Ultra Ball, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to have to discard some Pokemon. So a 2nd copy of Rescue Stretcher wouldn't be an insane idea. It's something I am considering in this deck. The 1 does work, but sometimes I feel like I want a 2nd. But it lets you put a Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand, or shuffle 3 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck. Really good late game as well, I think I should mention. If you want to get a Pokemon into your hand, then use Lost Blender to send it to the Lost Zone. Really good combo, I like. And to end off the deck, guys, we play 4 basic Grass Energies and 4 double colorless energies. I feel like it's a pretty healthy amount of energies for this deck. I think the 4's fine, plus the 3 net balls to let you search out those energies whenever you need them. The 4 DCEs is fine with just 4 DCEs, 4 Natus. You can also use them with Lele. I've had to do that sometimes when you need to use Energy Drive. But that's the deck list, guys. I really like it. I feel like I went for as consistent as I could get it. and I really like it. I mean, I was able to beat my own Bucephalon deck when Michael was using it. But we are going to get a round 2 up for you guys whenever he gets another chance to get over here. So y'all be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you think about Lost March in the comments section below. Do you think it's a deck that's to be feared? Do you think it's going to make a big impact on the meta? Or do you think it's just a fun deck that's really strong? It can be really strong. It can compete with decks, but it's not really competitive. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And this is David from Scizorxphlosion, and we'll see you guys all next time.